So just while I'm doing that, to give a brief bit of audio description, I have pale olive skin, green eyes with huge bags underneath them, cunningly disguised by a pound shop red Christmas trilby. I have a black t-shirt with silver patterns of, well, sort of electronic. I thought it was about as digital as I could get in tribute to your digital project, and a black sleeveless, black zipped top with silver coloured jewellery. So who would like to begin from Signdance Collective?
Well, I've also got olive skin. My name's Isolt Avila, and I have dark brown hair with shades of orange and red, and I'm Cuban, and I go by she, her, hers, and I'm wearing a colorful scarf with pink, and I've got a white background.
Should I introduce myself?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Ashley Antonia Lopez, and my skin color is like olive, a little bit like with brown. I'm Dominican American. I have like a buzz hair. I wear glasses, and I have a black top. Mm-hmm.
And Ashley, sorry, and Ashley's one of our newest company members, and she's from the Bronx. Yeah, Rob, sorry.
Hello, good afternoon or good evening or good morning, wherever you are. My name is Rob. I am a white man in his mid-20s. Behind me, I have a sofa and some post-it notes and film posters and things around me in a sort of interesting studio office bedroom place where I'm live streaming from. And yes, I'm very excited to be here. My pronouns are he, him, and thank you for having me.
So would you like to begin by introducing the project?
Rob.
Excellent. So today we're going to be looking at the Time Project, and this is something that we began to look at when lockdown first started. We were trying to figure out a way of how could we keep our creativity up, and not just that, but how could we inspire people and the artists and the people that we love to work with all around the globe to keep being creative during this period when it suddenly felt like everything was stopping. And so we spoke with several artists and we invited them to submit whatever their art form was, just something to us. This may be music, this may be film, this may be movement. It could be anything really, as long as it's them keeping creative, no matter where they were during the lockdown. And then we took these pieces and we sort of discussed them and pored over them and gave them some real attention and sort of really enjoyed looking at the work before we began to then edit them down and place them together. And so what we did was we took these pieces that were created in isolation and we put them together into a really beautiful collage, which eventually became the Time Project. We end up with duos and sometimes trios, combining these different pieces that we were sent from different parts of the world and creating art from this sort of bad situation or this difficult situation to be creative. We just wanted to make something positive, and that's what we're going to be showing you today. And yes, I edited a lot of these pieces together, and we'll be talking about the artists involved, and I think it's really exciting to show them in this way. And yeah, thank you all for coming. I hope you enjoy the pieces.
Okay, Rob. That's very hard to follow. Should we present the first video, or you want to say something else, Isolt?
No, I'm good. Let's go.
Alrighty. I'm going to be the audio description person. Okay. In this video, it has Lionel M. Macaulay's lovely voice. At first, there are flashes of a walker in an empty room and a TV. Then we see Isolt Avila with the walker, and she's doing beautiful movements. Isolt's interaction with the walker represents fragility. Also, it's accompanied with Angelina Schwarmerlin's beautiful music. Okay, Rob, please play the music.
Okay.
The video, sorry, the video.
Okay, now gather around so I can talk to the gods and goddesses of the congregation. When you see melanin shining, you can't tell who the goddess is. You see, we were all modest then. The devils wore Prada and maybe had an identity, but ID profane was your only amenity. So I declare royalty for all the sovereignties, to all the times we were quarantined and left alone with our own minds to feed. Now most are just watching fees with no mouths to feed. Time to find a way to generate fees and reverse being gentrified. I'll let all these words diversify so you can see how much your soul is divine in its prime. Ain't no time to prioritize the primaries when life comes at you fast. And I know you don't want to finish last or dwell on the past, but history repeats itself. Don't cheat yourself, because putting out acid energy through your mouth will only eat itself. Never predict the predicate before you educate and advocate. No time to contemplate when we can compensate our minds and concentrate on our own mental states. We live in states where values determined by status, when a clear hiatus turning into statistic. Let's look at the logistics. See, we were niggas before niggas, supreme rulers. Mansa Musa, the first African king worth 400 billion. See, we can't forget Queen Nefertiti. When we see strength, beauty, and power, then you know a beautiful woman has come. Let that kingdom come, or that will be done. But when you see BS on your VHS, unless CNN, if you don't CNN, to the TNT blown up all over USA, A, B, C. We decide on who we want to coincide with. We have to abide the sweet side while listening to Mary J. Blige so we can oblige. But what's your theory? We as a people need to stop with the theatrics and the antics and figure out how we can come together and take over the atlas. Becoming actress, activist, but we choose to drink activists and act as if anyone owes us anything. The only thing we owe ourselves is dignity, instead of digging through the internet system miserably. We have the ability to combat the bigotry, mentally, emotionally, and physically, so we can figure out how we can be bigger than me, bigger than us. Let's put trust in one another, in our brothers, sisters, and mothers. Let's encourage our fathers and father figures instead of trying to figure out what the next person's figures are about. I mean, forget clout. Let's take the high route so you can sprout. As your energy taps into your energy, then that negativity becomes obsolete. Then it becomes a memory of a reverie.
That always gets to me. I love you, Lionel. I love you.
I love you, Lionel.
Okay.
So
Yes.
this piece was created, the spoken word by Lionel Macaulay, who is one of the most wonderful ever company members, and he sadly passed away this year. The piece, the Signdance Collective, is led by disabled, deaf, and artists of color, and diverse artists. So we work with the range of the company is enormous, and the influence that Lionel Macaulay has left on us is wonderful, and we're grateful every day. Yeah. Anything else, Rob?
I mean, just thinking about this piece and what we were thinking about when we put it together, the two themes for me that come across in the spoken word and the choreography was division and then unity. And Lionel repeats this over and over again about how we're divided. And of course, this fits perfectly well with what we were experiencing when he was creating the piece, because we were all literally divided physically across the world, and then coming together. And so we tried to reflect that in the editing. And so we get these squares, we start divided using Leela's footage, Assault's footage. And then, as you can see, every now and then we come together, we come back apart. And it was just playing with that idea. And yeah, this piece has ultimately been selected for arts festivals and things. And people really seem to respond to it well. And yeah, we're really happy with this. And it's a beautiful piece of work from Lionel, Assault, and Leela. So yeah, it's great.
Yes, I mean, I found it very moving, having known Lionel myself, but it's such, the work is so powerful, it does also speak for itself. How long did it take to make?
I made the dance. It took me about 3 weeks to create something using my walker that I use from, it depends how my body is, but, and then I used the signing of home, myself, and life. And so I use those three words. And then when Lionel dropped that spoken word piece, I said, I want that piece to go with my dance. So I kind of thought it would be very appropriate. Just the way that David had filmed me in that was just worked very well. And then Rob, of course, with his skills, was able to work that together. It was brilliant. Yeah.
And how have you found joining the company, Ashley?
Well, I love it. Like, this is becoming my new family. Well, like, cause like I'm adding it. I love like Rob. Like, he's becoming my brother. Like, he's amazing. And what's so, you know, he's all like, she's like my mama to me. I love her so much. And what's so weird is that we haven't even like met in person yet.
Well,
So-
welcome to the Together family as well. Signdance
Thank
Collective is
you.
very much part of it. They've been performing with us since 2012, in fact. I think you're certainly you're the only dance company that we've had since 2012, but one of the few companies, you know, who we've, you know, come across in 2012 and just wanted to keep working with. And I know that's mutual. So what do you want to tell us about next?
Okay, now next in this video, it has Ashley Antonia Lopez, aka me, is given an honest dance routine in which you can feel the sadness and feel that I'm trying to get over a heartbreak. The movement is accompanied by Elmar Radesi's beautiful voiceover about his heritage. Rad, please play the video.
Here we go.
Al inicio del siglo XX, los hermanos Marcus, Albert y Eugen se fueron a Sudamérica para empezar una vida mejor. Allá, en Paraguay, Albert encontró a su futura esposa, Dominga Dolores, una indígena del pueblo nativo de los guaraní. Ellos tuvieron 3 hijas. Una de ellas era mi abuela, Elena. Así se fue que tengo antecedentes indígenas de Sudamérica. Y me siento así, muy conectado con los indios. Los espíritus indios me dicen que los europeos van a retornar todo lo que tomaron de ellos. Puesto que no pueden reparar todo, lo van a tener que recompensar de otra forma. Eso es lo que otros llaman al karma.
I loved that. I'm really interested, Ashley. How did you find out about the Time Project?
So always goes back to Lionel M. Macaulay. I've known him for 4 years, and he always talked to like how amazing Signdance is and how he has so many opportunities. And literally, like it was like I was on my way to like get a COVID test because I had to get a surgery like in 2 days, like during that time, because I had a cyst in my by my lymph node. And he was like, Ashley, can you like do me a favor? Like, you know, there's a Time project and I think this is gonna be really cool. And I'm like, okay, when do you need it? And he was like, can you do it like you know, like take your time, say, okay, listen, I'm about to have surgery, so I have to give it to you tomorrow by the latest. And Lionel sent it to them and Result was elated. And then this is while I was like getting ready for surgery. So the next day, so you know, there's always drama, but thank you, Lionel. He made this happen. So I love you.
And also this poem was by Elmar Radesi, He's from his family is from Paraguay, but he's from Austria. But it was found in a wall. It was found underneath wallpaper, the poem that he wrote for In Between Spaces. And then we wanted to carry on working with him, and Lila worked with him for a few months to get this story about his family from him, and we thought it would go perfectly with Ashley's tale. I don't know how it worked out, to be honest, Ju. It just kind of, these pieces just kind of magicked themselves with Rob's wand, I think.
Well, we've been talking a lot since we started live streaming back in March about things seem to run on magic ultimately, because none of it actually makes sense. And yeah, I think there's a lot of magic around in the other direction as well. So who made the decisions about bringing things together, and what was the creative process?
Rob?
Well, we all viewed the submissions as they came in steadily. Of course, people did things at a different pace depending on what they had to do and what their circumstances were like. And then we all reviewed them separately usually, and then had a discussion when we came together once or twice a week. And then I eventually start editing together some of our ideas if we think this person might fit well with that person. So Elmar might fit with Ashley, so we try it. Sometimes this doesn't work, but usually it does. Usually we're okay at getting that right. And yeah, that's the process really. And then just like any kind of video editing, we have some notes and we end up with a final draft eventually. Yeah, so that was it. Discussions. Yeah.
Discussions and magic. What would you like to tell us about next?
Okay. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited for this one. Okay. The next video is of Robert Corcoran shaving his facial hair while staring at the mirror. Rob has a strip of red lighting on him, and then by the end of the video, he has the facial hair back on his face. It is accompanied with a techno beat, which was created by, we call her Lila, but it's also known as Angelina Schwarmerlin. Okay, Rob, let's see your video. What you got?
Okay. There we go.
So Rob is from Wrexham, North Wales, and he's one of the same place where David Bauer is from, our artistic director. And we met Rob 3 years ago. Is that right, Rob?
Yeah, just about.
Yeah, working on a children's project, and our work together just grew from there. From looking at image mapping and looking at how we can bring film and technology in a different way in the company's work. And so it was really funny. When I first saw this film, I thought, I just saw something weird. And then I saw it again. And I thought, oh, he's gone backwards. So he's always got a little trick up his sleeve, Rob. Brilliant. Yeah.
And am I right in thinking Angelina is the same person who performed with you in Carthage at Stratford Old Town Hall several festivals ago?
Yes, she's the composer for Carthage and our in-house composer now. And she's actually at the moment she's amazing. And at the moment she'll be collaborating with a Cuban artist from Havana, David Omni. So it's kind of really cool collaborations. We're excited.
And where's Angelina based at the moment?
Graz, Austria.
Ah, right. Yes. I mean, I remember her borrowing my guitar, and it certainly has never sounded so good. And unless she comes back, won't sound as good again. But she's welcome to borrow it in London anytime.
Thank
so, what
you.
do you want to show us next?
Alrighty. Next, in this video, you will see a plate, a hand, water, photographs. Then we see Viviana Molinares with a bird on her shoulder, creating an amazing artwork with the old photographs that you will see. And this is going to be accompanied with Viviana's voiceover as we see her create this work in front of our eyes. Also, we will hear Richard Pollock's music in this video. Okay, let's go, Rob. Play the video.
Okay.
The artist's palette knife, tarnished, aged with time like a casket of whiskey. A cacophony of traveling hues sprawls incessantly across the page in splattered droplets of time. The ghostly image is delicately smeared sugared pink, burnt orange, ultramarine, dappled seascape blues, her face tarnished in emerald green. The unrecognizable images are buried in layered paint, echoes speaking out in between the canvas, fused in a speckled, timeless, motionless landscape, shimmering iced hundreds, thousand droplets behind a tableau of textured colors with a bitter twist of an aromatic, scented, pink-tinted, blooming English rose. The vivacious artist Viviana brings a profusion of intoxicating hues from her palette to draw attention to a timeless 1920s fashion beneath an atmosphere of Miami contemporary Art Deco elegance.
Yeah, that one is quite interesting. It's the first one we've shown at this point that it features fine art, I guess, the painting in particular, although it does blend photographs as well. So that one, what Viviana sent us, unlike the others maybe, which so far have been, video clips for the most part and music, this one was clips of her process creating that painting and then some photographs of the painting. So it feels a little bit more like a short documentary, which is quite a nice contrast. And the music is from our show In Between Spaces, but it's been slightly remixed by the composer Richard Pollock. So that's a nice little Easter egg as well. And yeah, I think that's just it's a nice one. It's a different one to what we've seen so far, and yeah, fine art at the forefront of that one.
And Viviana is my childhood friend, and it was amazing. She reconnected with me after 40 years, 1 month before this project started. So she's a 3-time cancer survivor and amazing. Yeah.
And so more magic. And who wrote the words for that?
So Zoe Partington from the UK wrote the audio description. Yeah.
So how many films and how many people in total contributed, and how long was the project open for contributions?
It was open for about 2 months, Rob, is that right?
Yeah, it was the first round, April, maybe end of April, actually, towards June, I think.
Yeah, and I think there's 25 artists.
Yeah, altogether it's around about that number. What happens in some pieces is, especially with musicians, we do use other contributions and other bits of things they sent in different pieces. So sometimes the same artist may appear in up to, I think, 3, even 4 videos. Yeah.
So it's become very blended again, which I think is lovely. And was it very much often the case that there wasn't any relationship prior to putting these two pieces together between the people?
Exactly. So Zoe is from Shropshire, and Viviana is Cuban American artist living in Miami, and they really found each other. They really liked each other. So it was love at first sight. Yeah. As you know.
And just going back a moment, how was it funded?
This is Arts Council England's emergency COVID fund for the company to do rehearsals of In Between Spaces, our new work, talk about the future, work with our community and work with our international community.
And simply because we've had funding sessions on day one of the film festival, because after all, that's always the priority for filmmakers. How easy did you find that process?
Arts Council England emergency COVID fund was really good because they made it, I think they made it very accessible for people. And we had a very strong idea. And I think the most important thing is to have the strong idea and to be really honest about what you want to do and why you want to do it, and have great people around you, or the people that you really love to work with. Otherwise, it's just not worth it.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, you've got to do so much work before you get the money that's never paid if you're not going to enjoy it when it gets moving on. So tell me how this fits into the Between Spaces project and a bit more about In Between Spaces.
In Between Spaces is about shifting in time and space. It's about looking at how we're living between the digital and real time, and how we as human beings think about one thing but are in a different place. And our engagement project we hadn't been able to carry it through because of COVID. So we were in Brussels and we were performing, and then after we performed, they shut Brussels down. And I said to Rob, let's do a workshop with people like making a dance on their phone, and then they teach each other their dance. We just started talking about crazy ways of people interchanging, and I thought Rob is a great editor and he can edit anything. And so I just thought, everybody was like, I don't know if people will want to do it, but it was really successful. Yeah. So.
Yeah, well, clearly.
Mm-hmm.
And Rob, how long did it take you to do the editing?
I think some of them took longer, of course, than others. I think overall, I would have, as is usual for me, I would have been working up until I was absolutely allowed to. So whenever they were about to come out, I would have been finishing them, I think. So that 2-month period, really. Started experimenting. Sometimes it's very fast and you do it in an evening and a whole piece just works straight away. Sometimes there are tweaks and changes to be made, and the longest one probably took several sessions back and two with some notes off people to tweak things to get them how we wanted. But yeah, they're not too long, so nothing crazy. But some of them, it's not really the time, it's the creativity for this. I think it's more me having a cup of coffee and thinking about editing than the actual editing that takes the time.
Yeah, that absolutely. I was interested in just that length of process as a whole, because I think also it's interesting for other people. And again, if you're applying for an Arts Council grant and you have to do a detailed plan, to have some sense of how companies with so much experience are able to kind of schedule their work, because I think it's really good to learn from. So I don't know who wants to tell me, probably Rob, about how you've presented the work and when it was launched.
Yeah, sure. So what we did was we created a section on our platform, which is inbetweenspacesplatform.com, because this is, of course, directly connected to the show and the overall project. So they're all available on there in the two sections that we created them: time part 1, time part 2. And we also at the same time shared them across our social media channels, chiefly Facebook and Instagram, IGTV. And really, I mean, that's part of what dictated how they look and feel. You might notice that they are mostly vertical. This is because they were made with those platforms in mind, and I wanted to do it like that. And quite often, if people are using their phones to send in these contributions, that made some sense as well. And so, yeah, we created them within that 2-month period, and David Bauer and other people contributed to creating that section of the website where they're now displayed very beautifully with all the information about each piece and each artist. Yes.
Yeah, and we'll certainly put that link up on the program page next to this live event, so you'll be able to go straight there. And it's also now in the live chat box, which is on the right hand side of your screen. If you don't have a list of typing on your screen, you can go to view at the top of the screen and go to view live chat. But if you'd like to ask a question of Signdance Collective, then you can also use the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen without having to mess around with live chat at all. So if you've got a question or you'd like to make a point, then don't forget the Q&A button is there. So what did you want to tell me about next?
All right. In this video, Thomas Ulrich is playing on a ukulele. He worked to make it look like a dream sequence where time is passing us unless we notice life and that we are alive. This piece is accompanied by Marissa Comfort's composition. Okay, let's see this video, Rob.
So Thomas is in Graz, and he's an original member of Transmitter Performance, which is Angelina Schwammerlin's company in Austria. And he's performed with Signdance Collective in Austria several times. and is one of our international collaborators. He's a fabulous performer. Yeah.
Yes, I was remembering back, I've performed in Graz myself 2 or 3 times, and it's such an interesting city. And of course, you know, they would have had the usual October Festival, which I've performed at. One of the things that's really struck me watching it is, you know, watching this, is that we've been very careful, and you know, that's why we've called the overall festival Making History, to feature work that couldn't have been made any other time. You know, rather than pretend COVID hasn't existed, we're looking at work that has very specifically come out of this situation. And, you know, this is very much of it, isn't it? I don't know where to start with the editing in that one, but what inspired it, Rob?
That one is the final one that we've done up to this point, and the final one of these single films. And what we didn't have, that I was conscious of, was something that resembled maybe a horror film. I don't know, and it felt like that to me. And we had this interesting music from a composer called Marissa Cornford, and I played around with combining what Thomas was playing and what Marissa had sent, and it made it feel quite eerie. Reminds me almost of a film called Midsummer, if anyone has seen that, where they combine these stringed instruments to be deliberately, you know, out of sync with each other, and it gives it this thing. But also, Thomas taps the guitar quite a lot, the ukulele, and he's also sent us images of himself tapping his Apple Watch. And so that fit very well for me. He taps and taps and taps the watch, and he's tapping the ukulele, and those two images fit very well. And it was just a little bit unnerving. And I thought we should bring that out. Yeah.
And you certainly did. And I don't know, I think horror is always popular, but it's been interesting to me this year that the films that have come in with a horror theme, and these are ones that have been made prior to COVID, have come from young people. And you think, yes, why are young people living lives at the moment that think, you know, that is reflecting in horror films? Well, I could give lots of answers, but I did think it was telling the kind of comeback, if you like, of horror amongst disability. And I think, you know, you've got the original Freaks as the sort of key horror movie. We showed that as a late night film a few years ago. And yeah, absolutely terrific. If anybody doesn't know it, it was made in the 30s, and the Freak Show company end up turning on the people that have exploited them and murdering them. But yes, I mean, have you got anything, you know, was there something, because I mean, you're quite a young person yourself, Rob, was there something kind of around at the moment in terms of horror? Because there's certainly years where I get no horror kind of themes coming through at all.
Yeah, well, I imagine after a year like this, we'll get a lot more horror. We'll probably get a lot more satire. We'll probably get a lot more social commentary, at least more biting social commentary than usual. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm not a huge horror fan myself, and like I said, I don't think it's necessarily horror, that piece, but it is unnerving. And you know, that is how this year has felt. I think certainly even people who are comfortable couldn't deny the undercurrent to every single decision that's made politically. Everything just feels unnerving, and so yeah, I guess the time that we made that as well, that was finished off in Croatia when we were all together. And yeah, I guess a very uncomfortable time. Yeah, for many reasons. And it's an uncomfortable film. You know, we are making things. It is filtering through us. I felt uncomfortable. I made an uncomfortable editing decision. That does make sense. Yeah, I guess it's just been a very unnerving year. And therefore, we've got a lot of happy pieces, by the way, but that one is an unnerving one. Yeah.
Also, Leela, the way Leela shot that piece, it's in a very desolate place, and with Thomas just in the middle of it on his own, which I guess, you know, is a very natural state of being during this time, because we're a lot of times we're on our own or with just one other person or just in these spaces. So I think it reflected that time very well.
And I think also that sense of horror when other people get too close. I mean, you know, every time I go out my front door, there's the sort of negotiations with the fact that nobody on the pavement less than 2 meters away is wearing a mask. And somebody had taken the cats for their annual checkup, and I went to get them back in, and there's the postman without a mask gaining speed saying, "Can I just give you these?" And I'm like, stay away, stay away. So but again, it doesn't occur, it doesn't seem to occur to them that your mask doesn't protect you, and that they're, you know, they know perfectly well you're shielding between the wheelchair ramp and the notices and the fact they never see you. But oh look, they've seen you, so can they come and give you something that they've touched and put it into their hand and breathe all over you? So everything completely normal has had this whole touch of fear and horror, where the only people we've seen in the last 8.5 months in real life have been these people on the pavement that are constantly posing a risk, and everybody else you've met on Zoom. So it's, yeah, I think it's a very odd situation altogether. But again, the fact that you've really embraced digital work, and I think one of the things that I found really interesting is I've had other dance companies who are making work digitally, but it's the audience participation. You know, you haven't simply made the work accessible to the audience. The audience has become part of the work, part of the company. And indeed, in terms of Ashley's case, it sounds like quite literally. Is that very much part of your philosophy?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, Lionel was really pushing Ashley on us, to be honest. He was like, "Oh no, we know next year we got to get Ashley here," you know. And I was like, when I first saw her film, I was like, "Wow, this girl's amazing." And he was like, "Yeah, I told you." And you know, but we do meet people along the way. The way that we met Rob was somebody had dropped out of producing our children's upstairs in an office, and a colleague of his said, "Oh, I've got an idea. Maybe Rob Corcoran would like to do this." And he just, like, in 2 minutes, he came downstairs, and then there he was. Rob's quite tall, and I'm really small. So I was looking up at this beautiful, tall, you know, blonde guy going, "Oh, you're interesting." Like, and things just work with us in that way. We don't do a lot of auditioning. Occasionally we do, but we meet people in workshops and on the road, and the company's fantastic at the moment. We're missing Lionel big time, but he is in our hearts and in our work all the way through.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things I just wanted to sort of tease out a bit more was, yeah, that's that, because you do a lot of workshops. Again, I would say probably in a sort of more intensive way than a lot of companies. There's a photograph we have. It could have been the first time you did a version of Carthage with us, but there's somebody who occasionally comes to our year-round outreach clubs program who is only semi-conscious most of the time. You know, is non-verbal and is semi-conscious, and like so many other people because of the medication, and had been denied any kind of local authority funding to do activities on the grounds that they assessed, you know, because they actually go, "Oh, you're too disabled to enjoy this, so we're not going to give you the money to try." And David just had an instinctive way of communicating through touch. And there's a picture of her, you know, so fully awake and with such a big grin on her face. And you just think it's criminal that she's been denied these opportunities elsewhere. But you had no problem in offering them. And there are companies that we don't bring in for this reason, but I know just would not know where to start, because it's all about really kind of imposing a non-disabled kind of way of working. And I think one of the things that, you know, really comes across from Signdance Collective is it's a very different way of working. It's your way of working.
Yeah. And also with the company, it's not so different, that process. People, for the new show, they're bringing in ideas and nothing is rejected. We're having a really great time on this new piece, Oriente Plus. Everybody is contributing, and we're online on Zoom doing it, but we're still, you know, we're doing salsa with sign and all kinds of fun things. And yeah, that's just the way we've always worked. I think it's just been the spirit of the company right from the beginning.
So
Yeah.
moving back to you for a minute, Ashley, what is your background as the newest company member? How did you train?
So I'm New York. I'm like Bronx, New York. That's who I am. I attended Pace University for devised acting, which is creating original work. I know, London has been on, the UK has been doing original work from the get-go. United States, like always, catching up to what's new.
Well, I don't know. Wherever I go, people always go, "Oh, it's more ahead in the UK," and we're going, "Oh, well, it's more ahead with you." But I think the reality is that it is just all very patchy, isn't it?
Ain't that the truth? But yeah, no, yeah, literally, I love, like, I literally breathe acting, dance. I've been acting since like in 6th grade. And I just been very fortunate to be specifically around people of color. Like, not a lot of people have that opportunity, and I've been blessed. I don't know. Yeah.
Could I ask you a bit more about the devised theatre? Because I think there's a real synchronicity, unsurprisingly, with our associate drama company, which is an inclusive community theatre company. About half of the actors have got professional training, but the other half have got learning difficulties and just find it impossible to gain access to courses, so they train with them. But they presented in, I think it was Tuesday, the 24th of November, if that was a Tuesday, but everything we've done is on the website. And it's a piece called I Am Tony, which they devised working collaboratively with a company in Chile that's entirely led by actors with learning difficulties. But all of their work is devised theatre. All but one of them are people of colour. And in fact, the other company member is a Dutch woman who speaks in simple sign. So most of them also speak more than one language, including the woman who speaks in sign. Yeah, I know they'd love to connect. They're always wanting to learn from other relationships. But yes, that sort of sense of devised theatre pop up. We've always started as a pop-up festival, very much kind of taking inspiration from the Edinburgh Fringe, where it's all about the quality of the work. It's not about the quality of the venue. You're paying to see the work, or in our case, free. You're not there to subsidise an expensive venue, which is just as well, because in Newham, we have no cultural venues outside Stratford, which was one of our starting points. And the council, in their wisdom, have just closed the only arts centre. Need youth provision, but the youth also need an arts centre. So that's one of those things. I've just had a warning up to say the internet connection is unstable. I don't know what's going on at the exchange.
You're all right now, Ju. We've got three more little pieces. If you want to show them.
Let's finish by seeing them.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in this video, there's a trunk that says C. Whitfield, and hands are rubbing the trunk. Subi Whitfield is doing movements with the trunk, like dancing with it. When she opens the trunk, it contains photos and memories of her past. It is accompanied with Leela's voice and with Richard's music. Okay, Rob, let's see this.
Okay.
In my dreams, I'm real. King's App, artificial fields, crystal clear. From the earth, pollen grains. Bloom Lab, Bloom Lab. Inside that beauty, smooth skin, the sunset's paintings in your eyes, perfect in the box, scant motion. motion. The world mirrors in your steps. Bloom Lab. Bloom Lab. Bloom Lab.
Rob, just really quickly so we can go on to the next one.
Yeah, that was Subi Whitfield. She created the movement and the film, and she put in some sort of sepia comic book-like panels. So we played with that idea, and we added in Leela Angelina Schromelin's poem over the top called Bloom Lab. And yeah, I just thought it was just a nice, fun, colorful piece. And we have another fun, colorful piece next, actually. Yeah.
Great, because I love that one.
Alrighty. In this video, Kate Lawrence appears in the frame and she's going in circles, then walking on the railing of the stairs. Then she's on the railing. The editing of the film plays with the concept of time because at times it looks like she's going fast and then time is rewinding back or it's playing at normal speed. It is accompanied with Zoe Partington's wonderful voiceover, who is a visually impaired artist, and also is accompanied with Richard's music. Okay, let's see this video, Rob.
Time. A shadow of the clock hand in view. Tick-tock, dancing in the morning dew. A shifting shaft of light, captivating yet never ending. A transient distant voice, trailing into the thicket of space. Whilst for a fleeting moment, the circling rooks capture the hand of time. Their shoal-like patterns of their flight dives in between reality, whirling into digitized depths between a jagged, edged expanse. The ever-changing, refracting ghost light, glistening in time, ticking with the warm wind, blistering a ruby rock taste with a cocktail of chaotic charm, amongst the tranquil time-lapping shores.
So, Ju, you might recognize Kate Lawrence from No.
I didn't, but I loved the editing, and it was such a serious. Well, it wasn't a serious piece, but it also had a kind of really light-hearted Monty Python element to it, which I think must have been put in by Rob.
Yeah, we tried to make that one fun. I thought it looks like maybe a children's book. That was quite nice as well. Yeah.
It possibly does, but it reminds me more of all those amazing animations in Monty Python.
Great.
Probably too old for you.
I really want you guys to see this film. Sorry, Rob, go ahead. I interrupted you.
No, that's fine. But yes, it certainly does look like those fun animations.
Yeah, this next piece is very interesting.
Oh, okay. So carrying on, in this video, Panos Parachu, a deaf dancer, is dancing like it looks like a rock. You can feel every single movement he hits. At the same time, he looks distorted, as if the distortion is playing with the concept of time based on eyesight. As the video is making us question our own eyesight. The dance piece is accompanied by Marissa Comfort's music. Okay, Rob, let's see this video.
Here we go.
Wonderful.
So Panos started studying with us when he was 10 years old in Thessaloniki in Greece, and now he's at the National Academy of Contemporary Dance in Athens, where he was filming that. So he's amazing. Yeah.
Well, I think you're all amazing. This is, yes, I must draw this to an end now, but I'm very pleased to say again, what we've tried to do very carefully with this festival is to keep expanding it. Things don't pass, they arrive and they stay, and the festival expands. So there will be the film of this piece up on the programme tomorrow, but most importantly, and again, it's a year when people have time to explore, which we're really pleased about, particularly over the 3 weeks when the festival ends and we close for 3 weeks. You have all of the Time Project to explore, and of course the rest of the very wonderful Signdance Collective International website. So I'd like to say a big thank you to Arts Council England, National Lottery Community Fund and National Lottery Emergency Fund for supporting this event, to Julia from Global Real-Time Captioning and Chris Burrow for the British Sign Language interpreting. We will be taking a short break to allow you to have a break and for us to switch streams, and we'll be starting again at 4:30 with, very fittingly, a wonderful hour of more dance films. So it's going to be a real pleasure, and it'll should pass very smoothly into the next session. So have a good break now. We hope to see you back again at 4:30. And whether you're in New York, London or Croatia, thank you so much indeed, Signdance Collective International.